This is an RNZ podcast.
Piki mai kake mai. I'm Alison Balance, and this is the Kākāpō Files podcast from RNZ. This is episode 7, and I had no intention of being back quite so soon. But there's some very exciting news, and I thought we should catch it while it's hot off the press. The name of the episode says it all. The chicks are hatching! And you heard it here first. Now, not only have I started putting dates on these podcasts, today I'm going to have to put some times on it, and you'll find out why shortly. I am recording this on the 31st of January 2019, and at 10 o'clock in the morning, I managed to get some precious minutes with DOC's Kākāpō Recovery Program Technical Officer, Daryl Eason. He's on the phone from Whenua Hou. Congratulations, Daryl. I understand the first chick hatched. Tell me all about it.
Yes, it hatched last night at about 8:30, I think. That was an egg that arrived from Anchor Island. We sent half of the eggs from Anchor to Whenua Hou just the day before, so that there's plenty of space on both islands. And that one was already externally pipped, so it's already cracked its shell. And that had about a day here, just sitting here preparing, and last night about 8 o'clock it started rotating. So they kind of go around like a little can opener inside the egg, anti-clockwise. They start at the top and move around. And it did that in about half an hour. So it was really fit and strong and hatched really well. No need to intervene, which is good. So that means the incubation throughout has been really good.
Now, we'll stick a picture on our website, but what does a newly hatched Kākāpō chick look like?
Well, they're all sort of wet and all their down feathers are in little sheaths. So it just looks like it's come out of the shower, really. All the feathers are stuck to its skin and lots of pink skin underneath, so it's showing up. So now, after it's had time to jiggle about and warm up and the sheathing comes off the down, it's starting to fluff up and get all white and fluffy. They
look like a powder puff when they're little, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they sort of look a little bit more scrawny when they first hatch.
Now that it's hatched and it's fluffing up, what does it take to look after it? What do you have to do?
We usually feed it just 4 hours after it's hatched. So that was about midnight last night. It got its first meal, just a little bit of water, just enough to get it going, and then we start on its schedule at about 6 a.m. the next morning, and it's 2-hourly feeds between 6 a.m. and midnight. And it will gradually increase the food volume. So essentially over the next few days, its little soup mixture will be thickening up until it gets to something like yogurt consistency at about 8 days old, probably, yeah.
So what's in that soupy mixture?
It's just a carrot hand-rearing formula that we can buy off the shelf, and it's made of assorted grains, essentially.
It's baby formula for parrots instead of for human babies. Hey, I have forgotten to ask you, who is the lucky mother and who is the likely dad?
Oh, it's Waikawa, and the dad is probably Horton.
I gather it has a really sexy name at the moment?
Oh, it's just called Waikawa 2A. So it's her second egg of the clutch.
And we should perhaps explain that the letter A, it's from the first clutch, and you're hoping there might be a B series as well.
Yes, that's right. Yes, because they've laid so early this year, we are taking the opportunity to get a lot of the birds to nest a second time. She had 4 eggs. All 4 were fertile, but the first egg died at about 7 days old, the embryo. So just one of those standard early embryo deaths at about 7 or 8 days old. And the other 2 eggs are going well, and they should be hatching in 2 to 4 days' time.
Have you got any other closer eggs in that? Have you got anything else that started pipping?
Yes, we have. So T. Ferry's first egg has externally pipped. It happened last night. So you can feel it moving inside the egg and you can hear it vocalising. So yeah, it's getting really close. So maybe later tonight we might have chick number 2. And Wa's second egg has just internally pipped. So internally pipped means it pierces that air cell membrane. So there's a membrane that makes the airspace in the large end of the egg. So it's just broken through that, and it'll normally be maybe sitting there for a day or so, starting to use its lungs and beginning to vocalise as well. before it externally pips the shell.
And there's someone standing by, so you said Waikawa 2A, that chick hatched without any help, but you're there if help is needed.
Yes, that's right. We're always there when they're ready to hatch.
That's all great news, Daryl, and it sounds to me like you're going to just be getting busier and busier.
Yes, we are. We stole a couple of eggs from Margaret Marie last night, but they are both infertile. So maybe round 2 she'll have a better luck.
Thanks, Daryl. That was Daryl Eason from the Department of Conservation's Kākāpō Recovery Team. Now that was this morning's news, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Kākāpō scientist Andrew Digby has a few free minutes to talk. Kia ora, Andrew. Now, I just have to comment on what a movable feast this Kākāpō breeding season is, because I spoke to Daryl a couple of hours ago and I gather that you already have some new news for me about eggs and chicks.
Yeah, kia ora, Alison. Yeah, that's right. We do. In fact, in the last half an hour, we've had another chick hatch. So Tiffany, the first egg has hatched, and so we're now up to 2 Kākāpō chicks for the season. And things will change very quickly from here on in, I think.
And the hatching went well?
Yes, from all accounts it did. So this is one of the eggs that was laid on anchor, which has been flown to Whenua-Hou, and it hatched in the porticom in the incubation room on Whenua-Hou, just within the last 30 minutes.
Now, of course, everything keeps changing, but right at this current moment in time, how many eggs do you know of?
So what we know of so far is 134 eggs, which is a lot of Kākāpō eggs. So in the last breeding season in 2016, we had 122, so we've already surpassed that number, which is great progress. Tempered, of course, by the fact that a lot of them are infertile, and we have about 50 of those eggs are known to be fertile, 67 infertile. We still don't know about the other 17.
And I gather that birds are still nesting and are still laying eggs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just a couple of days ago, I was out with the assisted breeding team, and we tried to catch a couple of birds to inseminate those, Queenie and Sue, and we found both of them within an hour of each other, within a few hundred metres of each other, and both on nests with 1 egg each. Now Queenie has got 2 eggs, I think.
Oh, that's exciting news. And I have to say I have a strong personal connection to Queenie because she's named after my mum, and we are both very excited about the news that she's breeding, which I think is for the first time.
That's right. So Queenie is a first-time breeder. She's chosen the nest of another bird from 2009. So, yeah, she's chosen a pre-existing nest, which is in a massive rata tree, one of the biggest rata trees I've ever seen at the bottom of it. So it's a fantastic spot. Well,
that makes her job a lot easier and your job a lot easier.
It will do, yeah. So we'll already have a campsite set up, for example, for that, and it's quite an accessible site, so it's quite a good one, that one.
So how many females have you got who have mated but haven't yet nested?
We have about 7 on Whenua-Hou so far. All of them on anchor have mated and are nesting. We have 21 nests on anchor and 21 nests on Whenua-Hou at the moment. So Whenua-Hou's got a little way to go, and there's just one female there, Marley, who's a very young bird. She's only 4. She may not nest, but she hasn't yet mated.
Now, I talked with Daryl about how you were bringing eggs into the nurseries on both anchor and Whenua-Hou to artificially hatch them and rear them. How many eggs have you got at the moment? Do you actually know?
I don't actually have an up-to-date tally. I think it's around about 13 on anchor, and it's a lot on Whenua-Hou. I think it'll be in the high 20s. I'm not sure of the exact number that are there at the moment.
Now, you've been out on Whenua-Hou for a few weeks. You've been working on that assisted breeding program. How's that all going?
It's going well so far. So we've done, as of yesterday, 3 artificial inseminations, and they've all gone quite well. I think the team are out today trying to do another couple. So, yeah, we're ticking through. On Whenua-Hou, the matings were quite spread out, which has actually helped the artificial insemination or the assisted breeding program, because it means that we don't have too much of a rush and we can pick off birds as they mate. But what we'll look to do is, if we get lots of matings and second re-nestings, then we hope to do a lot more over the coming few weeks.
So who have been the lucky males and the lucky females?
So far we've inseminated Jane, Awarua, and we did Hawkeye as the females so far the other day, and they've been matched up with a number of different birds. We've used Sinbad, we've used gumboots, we've used Merv so far. Excellent.
Now, you mentioned re-nesting. How's that all going? Have you got birds starting doing that again?
Well, Pearl has re-nested on Whenua-Hou. She's the main one so far. She's laid 3 eggs in her second nest. So, yeah, that's quite exciting. I don't think as of yet we've had any re-nests on anchor. we're hoping things will pick up in the next week or so. It's kind of, we're running out of time a little bit. We're watching it slightly anxiously, but we've still got a couple of weeks to go, and we expect for when re-nesting will happen.
How are you feeling overall about how the breeding season's going?
It's going really well, I think. We knew it was going to be a big one. It's certainly proving to be that. We've got a lot of eggs so far, which will hopefully turn into quite a lot of chicks. One thing which is, I think, disappointing this season is the fertility. The fertility is the second lowest that we've ever had. Overall, the fertility is 43%, so that's 43% of the eggs that have been laid are fertile. About 46% on Whenua Hou and slightly lower, 42% on Anchor. That compares with the worst fertility, which was in 2014, when we just had a small breeding season with 38% fertility. So the fertility is low, and we don't know why. That's one of these mysteries. It may be something to do with the fact that we've got quite a few younger birds breeding for the first time. But yeah, that's something we'll definitely have to look into a bit more closely.
So it's an exciting time tempered with a little bit, as you say, of disappointment.
Yeah, that's right. And we kind of expect there to be low fertility. We expect it to be around about 50%, but it's a little bit lower than we were hoping for. But we're hoping to offset that by having second nests for as many females as we can.
Well, I think the news will just keep rolling in, so we'll stay tuned.
Since we've just been talking, Alison, I've just received a message from Deirdre to say that Jean has been found on 2 eggs on Whenua Hou. So even in the time that we've been speaking, there's been another nest found, 2 more eggs. So we're now up to 136 eggs, and things are changing very, very quickly at the moment.
Goodness gracious, I better go and publish this podcast because it's going to be out of date before I do that.
It will be, it will be.
Okay, great to talk.
Awesome, thanks, Alison.
See you, bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thanks, Andrew. That was Andrew Digby from DOC's Kākāpō recovery team. I was about to say the Kākāpō nurseries are filling with the patter of tiny feet, but then I remembered that for the first few days, newly hatched Kākāpō chicks are much like newborn human babies. They spend most of their time asleep, or just sitting around on their plump wee bottoms. Many thanks for all the feedback you've been giving me, and for sending in questions and encouraging me to make new episodes. You know who you are. It's quite the ride. But this is it for the Kākāpō Files for this week. I'm Alison Balance, and this was episode 7, The Chicks Are Hatching, recorded on the 31st of January 2019. You can find the podcast at rnz.co.nz/Kākāpō. My email address is there if you'd like to get in touch or ask more questions. If you'd like each episode to arrive on your phone as soon as it's out, then just subscribe to us as a podcast. RNZ Kākāpō Files in all the usual places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public. Keep telling your friends about the podcast, and if you're on Facebook, pop along to RNZ Science and share the posts. To find out more about DOC's Kākāpō recovery program, look out for them on Facebook and Instagram. Kākāpō scientist Andrew Digby and I are both on Twitter. Just search for our names. I'll be back, probably quite soon, with more breaking news about the world's favourite flightless parrot. But until then, thanks heaps for listening. Bye for now.